the third game, the very final game here between these two players. I will go ahead and introduce them. Up in the top right side, winning with the 4-gate, and then unable to win in the base race last game, it is going to be Elfi. And down in the bottom left side, with the delicious Danish name, Sean, it is going to be CupCake. And I just want to say his decision-making in that last game was so aggressive. Very interesting to watch because, Sean, I've seen so many PvPs where it comes to a base race, everyone's only got a pylon left, and they just chase each other around for 10 minutes. And he said, no, we're not playing that game.
You know, in America we have a word for that. It's called pussyfooting. And if there's one person who didn't pussyfoot around, it was CupCake. He went all out, stalkers out, up a ramp, back to his old tattered main, and said, this is my homeland. He put the flag back down, and you know what? It was a purple flag, because that is his color in this game. Now, I just want to throw out there that we've seen CupCake kind of redeem himself. He got 4-gated and lost kind of frustratingly in game number 1. In game number 2, a phenomenal ballsy decision that paid off brilliantly to resecure his main base. But now he's playing on this larger map, Daybreak. The decision was Elfi's to choose this map. What are your thoughts on perhaps why Elfi chose this map and how the game's going to play out?
Well, I am really curious to see exactly what Elfi does here, because when a player picks a map, a lot of times they have a very specific build in mind, and CupCake seemingly playing to the advantage that he had picked his own turf. And again, I mean, Elfi is very comfortable in the PvP matchup, so whatever it is that he's going to have planned here, I think he's going to be confident with it. I would be surprised to see him try to be aggressive again, just because of how the map is laid out. It's going to be difficult to actually pull that off. The bases are relatively far away, and another interesting thing about this map that most players are familiar with, especially in PvZ, you'll see a lot of multi-prong attacks. PvP doesn't usually play out like that because your army is so much more powerful when it is grouped together.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
there's so many different alternate routes of attack, 3 right through the center of the map, that you can see base races on this map quite commonly as well. And here we go, see both players going to be dropping down their cyber cores, and I believe, yep, just 1 gas apiece.
Well, we're in standard mode at this point in the game. I want to talk a little bit about what you were saying about players, you know, being leery to split things up. It's true, the Protoss army is just so much more powerful when clumped together. But what we're seeing more and more, actually just probably recently in the last month or two, Protosses tend to go blink to control the opponents while they expand, begin going for that Robotech, etc. And if they're doing that, we've seen Roboing players split their armies up nicely, where they'll have 2 Immortals, a Colossus, and some Zealots in one location, 2 Immortals, a Colossus, and some Zealot Sentry in another. And the Blink Stalker army is so bad against that composition that suddenly this split-up Protoss army can control the space and defend against those aggressive blinkers. So I'm really excited to see some more mobile attempts made by these players, getting those robo-based armies to secure smaller locations and spread out and expand more.
We do see double Zealot for both players right out the gate, followed up by those Stalkers, which I really do like to see the Zealot first in this matchup. It helps you try and spot any proxy pylons. You can also see Elfi going to be grabbing that watchtower there. He wants to keep an eye out for any sort of probe, maybe heading through the center of the map. Also, Elfi knows the timing.
By Elfi.
Yep, Elfi knows the timing of the pylons going down for a 4-gate, so he's scouting on the right side, wants to spot there. So really, he's covered almost the entire surface area around his base. The only area that hasn't been scouted now is at the potential 4th base up in the top center for Elfi. And if his opponent drops a pylon there, then his reinforcements are nowhere near close. So he knows kind of that his opponent is not going for a 4-gate, so and that eliminates the need for him to go crazy defensive mode. Now we do see the robotics got to be finishing up here for Elfi. At the same time, though, CupCake does have that Twilight Council. And again, Sean, are you thinking Blink Stalkers here, or is there something more devious?
You know, I would generally say Blink Stalker. I mean, well, now that we see CupCake going Blink, that certainly helps my case a little bit. But it looks like Elfi's showing some branching with that Robo play, going for the Immortals directly after the facility has finished up. And given this timing, I would anticipate we're going to be seeing a Sentry Immortal expand. There's just enough money for Elfi to be able to do this in a moment, but should be making the decision to move down the ramp right now, but since he's not, yeah, that's the reason why. The robotics bay going down, this is another of Elfi's favorites. Again, he's doing this delayed post-cybernetics core mega aggression. In game 2, you saw him get blink and just blast his opponent's front. In this game, he's got to get a Colossus and possibly a Warp Prism even, and blast his opponent down. I'm hoping, though, for the Warp Prism and the Immortal.
Right now, CupCake is in the center of the map, and we have seen players do a lot of Warp Prism play after getting that Robotics Bay, kind of throwing us off a little bit, thinking it's going to be Colossus, but being able to load up the Immortals inside that Warp Prism can just be so useful. Now, going up against Blink Stalkers, you have to be so careful, because a Blink forward can immediately snipe a Warp Prism, and that Warp Prism might also have 2 Immortals inside, which the second Immortal going to be finishing up right now, and look at the timing of that. The second the Robotics Bay is done, he is able to finish up that Immortal. He is slightly supply blocked there for just a second, but he does have these 2 Immortals out right now. Taking a look at the army size, it is going to be 26 to 27.
This is
so
not going to pan
control.
out well for CupCake. He can do a little bit of poking, but CupCake needs to take an expansion right now. There is 0 chance he's going to be able to break through a player with 3 gates, 2 Immortals, and a third one on the way. Another defensive force field goes down by Elfi. I like this play quite a bit. It looks like CupCake, though, not giving up. Elfi does have the Observer at the front, sees, though, that there is absolutely no detection. And is there a 4th gateway hiding behind the mineral patch for CupCake? Nope. He is still just going 3 gate, so this is not a committal all-in play, but it certainly is forcing Elfi away from that Robotics Bay composition.
And also makes it difficult for him to expand. Gotta be making him a little bit nervous. So he does Blink forward there, misses it, but thankfully for him, did not end up losing any units there. While 1 unit is in the red here, you got to remember Elfi is seeing everything that's going on, and if that army blinks into that, it is going to be sliced down.
God,
by
are you
Zealots
seeing those force fields, Mike? Those are incredible. What CupCake's trying to do is blink 1 Stalker onto the ramp. That gives just enough vision onto the high ground to blink the entire army up onto the ramp. Elfi is denying that again and again and again, and it looks like CupCake's finally abandoned the plan. We see probe production resuming for the purple Protoss from Denmark.
Speaking of probes, you can see almost identical probe counts here for both players, but a slight lead does go to Elfi, plus he has a lot of Zealots and those Immortals, going up to 4 Immortals here. Sean, is it looking like he's trying to find a timing here with all 4?
Oh,
no,
there it is!
Up. He's got to go for it, focusing down the Immortals, and the force fields were not in time, but the Zealots are right in the face of that army.
Elfi is going to decimate this army. The Zealots doing massive amounts of damage at the front line, and you see Elfi has bought just enough time to get those gateway units he needs up to crush that blink up. We see 1750 units or resources lost for CupCake, 1150 lost for Elfi. Very, very nice little play there by Elfi. And I mean, I can't emphasize enough how close a call this was for Elfi. Every single one of those force fields bought just enough time to extend a little bit longer into the game, but it looks like CupCake's starting to be convinced. No, you know what? I did pick off 2 Immortals in that mix. I can blink up again, maybe break him.
Alright, he's going to try and messes up the blink again there. Wasn't able to spot the high ground just yet, although he is showing Elfi, hey, I still have the capability of being aggressive. You're
Look
going
at
to
the
have to
sentry count.
Yeah, the sentry count absurdly high, especially for a PvP. I feel like we're watching PvZ or PvT. So remember, those sentries aren't going to do a lot of damage. The Zealots can. Nice there. Got to be trapping all those Stalkers. I think every single one's got to go down. Even though they
and
have
there's a good game.
CupCake realizing